might not be for me. I'm not that big. I don't need that advice. But actually, you quickly can become, bigger than you thought. And setting up from the beginning, it would have made so much more sense. And my assets would be protected now. Also, I think not setting up as a company from the beginning.
Yeah.
The old clacker.
Well, that was my question, because I did the same thing. I was a solo.
I'm just doing that now. Can you believe it?
Wow.
I've paid so much tax. I'm supporting half of Tasmania, probably. I'm not sure.
Well, David, can you sort of maybe explain that to the listeners who aren't tax gurus?
Oh, well, look, I mean, I'll just start off by saying I'm not familiar with the law in different countries, but I assume that the similar sort of concepts exist, which is that you can set up a company. In this case, in Australia, we generally would call it a P2I limited or a limited liability company, which is basically a company as its own living and breathing entity. Just think of it like as another person. And then that company is effectively your trading entity that conducts all of your business dealings. And then you, as the injector, whether you be a doctor or a nurse or whatever it is, essentially work for that company and get paid whatever you deem. So it's kind of weird because you, as the director, I'm assuming, of the company, you have control over that entity. But you, as Simone Doriean, actually exist as a separate entity to the company. And so what that allows you to do is, it gives you protection from potentially being sued. So essentially, if someone wants to sue someone, they'll try and look for everyone that's involved. They'll try and get to any source of income. But having that protection of the company means that they can't generally come after your personal assets. So you have a limited protection. It's called corporate veil or protection, which allows the company to almost act as like a wall, or a sort of quarantines you from things that go wrong in the company. So if you've got like your house in your personal name, you've got assets, everything like that, having the company set up in most cases will protect you from ever having that attacked by someone that wants to come after you for something, whether it be warranted or unwarranted. So protection is a big thing. The second thing is the difference between what you pay as a percentage of tax as a regular PAYG employee versus what a company pays at a fixed rate is quite different. And it can make a big difference to the amount of money that you take home at the end of the day. Because a lot of the time, it's not about how much you build in revenue, it's how much of it actually ends up in your pocket as profit. And that's what we're all sort of worried about is, you can be making $1 million a year, but if, $999,000 is going somewhere else, then it doesn't really matter. You might be better off earning far less money, but actually ending up with more of it in your pocket. So when you are a sole trader and all your income's being handled with you as you personally, then you essentially become eligible to pay your marginal tax rate. And as doctors and nurses that are generally in the higher income brackets, you're going to get taxed at a very high marginal tax rate. It might be sort of, 40 to 50 cents in the dollar, depending on sort of where you're at. Whereas in Australia, in most instances up to a certain level, like it's in the many, many millions, you will only pay about 28.5 to 30% tax flat as a company. And so there's nothing illegal about this. It's just about setting it up in an intelligent way so that the money that comes into the company only gets taxed at 28.5%. And there are lots of expenses that can be attributed to your business, whether it be a car that you purchase that you sort of use predominantly for work, a mobile phone, supplies for your business, education going on. You might go on a vacation, but part of that might be attributed to going to a conference. So part of that expense becomes tax deductible. So having that entity that actually filters all of your income, gives you protection to a large extent from legal action that could touch your personal assets, is definitely the way to go. So when I met Jake, we were sort of just shooting the breeze one day talking about, finances and money and so on. And
we're Jewish, you see. So
yes,
we do these things.
Yes, in the blood. And so, I sort of discovered that, Jake was, earning, a decent amount of money. And I sort of looked at how much tax he was paying. I was like, what is going on here? Why are you paying so much tax? And, this is the advice I'm getting from my accountants. And, I'm pretty sure this is correct. So one thing leads to another. I had a conversation with him and the accountant on the phone, and it worked out that this accounting firm, we're typically set up to look after doctors, but doctors who are working in sort of like a public health setting where they were getting a salary from the hospital. And so when you're an employee, you don't have the ability really to pay yourself via your own company. And so I put him in touch with a different accountant who was familiar with this type of structure and setup. And now, even though I'm sure your income's gone up between now and when I spoke to you last, but I mean, just as a percentage, the amount of money that he's now putting in his pocket, or was putting in his pocket then, even on the same income level, was much more. Yes. So it's I guess the point I'm trying to make is that it's really important that you seek out the counsel of a good accountant who understands your situation, potentially looks after people in a similar space, which is why word of mouth is so important. You will find there are people, just like in medicine or whatever it is, you find people that subspecialize in certain things. And there are practitioners out there who are very familiar with this industry and how it's set up and what doctors and nurses are doing and how to optimize your tax situation so that all the hard work that you're doing and all the money that you're making, most of it ends up, although as most of it is legally possible, ends up in your pocket. And you've also got a greater level of protection if something goes wrong.
Simone, you said you've changed to that model quite recently.
I'm just changing
how did that come about? Like, how did you realize or decide that you need to set up a business?
I think I'd known for a while, just because, you know, everyone has a business that runs a business and runs it as a company, and not many people are actually working as independent contractors or as sole traders. So there must have been a reason, but it just seemed like a big jump, and you know, having to make all these appointments to discuss it. And then it actually just got to the point where I was sort of like, come on, Doriean, this is ridiculous. Just go and talk to someone. You know?
Yeah.
I think I have a reluctance. I don't know if everyone else feels it, but you know, it's like seeking advice professionally. It sort of seems, in some ways, it seemed like a waste of money, or it might not be for me. I'm not that big. I don't need that advice. But actually, you quickly can become, you know, bigger than you thought, and you know, setting up from the beginning, it would have made so much more sense, and my assets would be protected now. And I think, you know, and talking to you, David, as well, it just made a hell of a lot more sense to do it.
Yeah. It's just these little things, and I think and that's why it's so important to reach out to your people, your community, people who are potentially outside of your practice that are good at business, and just getting an understanding, because I think it's really easy to sort of fall into, you know, your insular sort of little bubble and sort of not realize what options are out there or who to talk to. I mean, it's really important. And I said this on one, I think it was either with Natasha or one of the other people that we spoke to, was about having that team around you, you know, a great lawyer, someone that understands, and hopefully before the shit hits the fan, you know, like sort of, you know, when you're in a panic and someone's coming after you, or you realize you've got a tax problem, or whatever it is, you know,
that messy cleanup.
You don't want to be making like rash decisions and just going for the first person that you can find because you're stressed and you want to resolve something. It's really important, as you said, you know, start the way you want to finish. Have that team around you, a great lawyer who's looked at all of your consent forms, all of your medico-legal side of things, because I've seen a lot in this industry, people just go, oh, you know, can I just, you know, they'll get a consent form, they'll sort of copy it from someone else, they'll add a few little lines in here, and then that's their consent form. And look, that might be okay. It might not be. But these are things that are really important to have looked at by a lawyer to make sure that, you know, you're protected. All of your consent forms are giving you as much potential protection as possible. You've got a great accountant that really understands your financial situation, what your career and personal goals are financially, understands how to make sure that you're paying as little tax as possible, still operating within the confines of the law. Potentially even a financial planner to think about, well, you know, at the end of the day, and we'll get to this in a minute, you know, when I do decide I don't want to do this anymore, I want to start winding down or go do something else with my life. What does it look like when I want to exit from this business? Because everyone's always so concerned about, well, how do I start a business? How do I become successful? How do I do this? How do I do that? But very, very seldom do you hear people talking about, well, how do I get out of this business? And, you know, some of the experiences that I've had working, you know, in and around sort of people in private equity and people that buy and sell businesses for a living, that's almost the question that comes before anything else. Before they even work out how they're going to buy it, they're going to work out how the hell they're going to get out. And that's something that is very foreign concept to many people, particularly medical professionals. You know, like the idea of starting a business is daunting, let alone working out, thinking 10, 15, 20 years ahead. How am I going to get out of here?
Yeah, our hands are the job. That's what it comes down to, or for most.
It's interesting though, Jake, you know, why do we seek a professional mentor in our medical side of things, a clinical mentor, but we're not seeking business mentors?
because when we went to medical school, we didn't discuss any of this crap. Sadly,
Yeah.
I really think that we should do.
Well, I think your training prepares you to work in a public health setting.
Yeah.
This whole concept of private practice in aesthetics is relatively new.
Gone AWOL, yeah.
I mean, look, taking this back even further, I know my children, unless they choose business, will never be taught about banking or savings or interest or inflation. It just doesn't come up in our education.
Yeah.
So it's quite sad, really.
Yeah. Well, and at the end of the day, I mean, your chosen profession is your vehicle to where you want to get to in life. You know, whether you're cleaning streets, cleaning people's homes, you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you go to work every day to do a job, to attain something in life. Now, hopefully you're doing something that you love, because then it doesn't really ever feel like you're working. But at the end of the day, this profession is a vehicle to allow you to buy the things that you want, be able to provide for your family, be able to go on holidays, be able to have a nest egg when you decide you've had enough.
Thanks so much for watching the video. If you want to listen to the whole podcast, go to your favorite podcast app and search for Inside Aesthetics.
If you like the videos we're putting out, please consider subscribing to our channel. Give us a like, smash the bell icon so that you get notified when we put out more content.
If you'd like to support us, our Patreon link is down below, and you can also follow us on Instagram on our personal accounts.